introductions real quick, and then also Joe Miller, the coordinator from Massac County, is going to go ahead and just give a brief statement about what the status is. Then we'll go from there. Joe won't answer any specific questions. We'll just follow up with that. So if you guys have questions, feel free to field that as we need to. So when we get started on that, so again, just basic ground rules. We're also going to do another press conference today at 3. We'll do it back here, so we'll hopefully have additional information for you guys at that time. So that's just going to be the basic ground rules. Everybody here all right with the mics? Everything sounding all right? I know we've got some minutes stuff. I'm going to go ahead and get started with some basic introductions. Again, if you guys have any questions, feel free to go ahead or wait till we get done with that. We have Lieutenant Brad Lacey of the Illinois State Police, Trooper Joy Watson of the Illinois State Police, Joe Miller, the coordinator for Massac County. Oh, and I forgot to introduce myself too. I'm sorry. This is the way the day's going. I'm David Sear with the Perry County Emergency Management Agency here in direct support of Massac County for the tornado. Next to Joe, we have Rick Shanklin, the warning coordination meteorologist with National Weather Service out of Paducah. Tina Hale with Ameren, so she can answer any questions related to that you might have. Patrick Lindhorst, the state's attorney of Massac County. Johnny Playfer, the mayor of Brookport, and then John Barr, the police chief of Brookport. So with that said, I'm going to go ahead and let Joe make a brief statement, and then we'll get started with the basic information.
Thank you. I appreciate everybody coming here today. It's been basically a long, almost 24 hours now. My job is that I coordinate all the local resources with the state and federal resources that we use, and I will be referring all questions to David, so please contact him at his cell number, which I'm sure he will give to you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Joe. I'm now going to introduce Trooper Joy Watson, who's going to talk about some of the information on fatalities as well as the other information that's going on with the security controls that are going on with the city of Brookport and Massac County.
Thank you. Again, my name is Trooper Joey Watson, Joeywatson. I serve as the Illinois State Police District 13 Safety Education and Public Information Officer. We're headquartered out of DuPois, and we're in support of the Massac County area EMS. The deceased names, we are confirming that there are 3 fatalities that have occurred in the Brookport area. The first is Kathy, Kathy, George, George, Brookport female, 58 years old. Mr. Robert Harmon, Harmon, of Brookport, a 56-year-old male. And Sholita, Schollita, Burrus, Burrus, Brookport area female, 63 years of age. Those are the fatalities that we are confirming at this time. Also, the security checkpoints we have set up with the Illinois State Police are at Route 45 in Strawberry, Route 45 at the Brookport Bridge, Pell, that's P-E-L-L, at Unionville Road, Crockett at Greek, Unionville Road at Church, and Paducah Police Department is assisting us with the closure of the Brookport Bridge. They are taking up traffic on the Kentucky side. The bridge is still closed at this time. There is still a curfew in effect from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. and that will be applicable until further notice. And we are not requesting any more volunteers at this time. We have got to get through a certain set of procedures that David will talk about here in just a minute. We have to get through those things before we can start with the debris cleanup and taking volunteers. So he'll address those questions once you get those. Does anyone have any questions of me at this time?
Can you explain how the fatalities occurred?
The coroner is confirming blunt force trauma.
All 3 of them? When will we know the number of homes damaged?
And that'll be something that'll have to come from EMA, and that'll be after the process of the damage assessment. So that is yet to be completed.
Do you know how many people are injured at this point?
Again, you'll have to check with EMA.
Is there anyone missing or possibly trapped in this home?
The search and rescue efforts have been completed are now moving towards a cleanup phase.
Were all those fatalities in the mobile home?
I'm not aware of where they were from, just that they were confirmed report residents. Any other questions? Then I'm going to go ahead and turn it back over. All right.
Okay, guys, we also were joined up here by Sheriff Ted Holder of Massac County and Jason Farmer, who's the county board chairman. Next, I'm going to introduce the mayor of Brookport, Johnny Pepper, who's going to give a brief statement.
It's been a tough 24 hours. Brookport suffered a devastating blow. I'd first of all offer my sympathies to the victims and their families. Also want to reassure the citizens of Brookport that we are doing everything we can, as fast as we can, to get things in a more stable position. It's just taking us some time. Like all the steps we'd like to do, but these things usually don't. We'd like to offer our time, offer our thanks, our very sincere thanks to all the agencies who've responded, from Kentucky and all up the line. There's too many to mention, but we wouldn't be where we are today without them. We couldn't have got through the night without them. It's been a tough 24 hours, but we're trying to get everything back together as quick as we can, and hopefully have some more positive news in the days to come.
Thank you, sir. Now I'm going to call County Board Chairman Jason Farmer up to give a brief comment.
Good afternoon. My name is Jason Farmer, Massac County Board Chairman. We are currently supporting the City of Brookport with all of our county employees and anything they need assistance on. We're also working in the Unionville area for the county, helping those in need. That's also a bad area in Unionville, and we're just working together trying to get through this emergency situation. Thank you.
Thanks, sir. And we're also going to have Sheriff Ted Holder come up to give a comment about where they stand with security out on the outskirts of Brookport as far as the other roads.
My name is Ted Holder. I'm the sheriff of Massac County. Besides the city of Brookport, we had about a 2-mile area of rural Massac County devastated last night on Unionville Road. Right now, we're looking at about 45 to 50 residences that have either been destroyed or damaged. We've had two fatalities in this area. And we'll be working with Illinois State Police and Massac County Fire District today to help with the cleanup in that area. We don't have any more victims left on the scene. Everybody's been accounted for, but we are going to provide security in the area today to keep anything being missing. Questions?
Thanks, Sheriff. And as any part of normal operations, when you have a tornado, a big issue is always having the proper surveys done so we can determine exactly what happened. That's why I'm going to have Rick Shanklin again, who's a warning coordinator, some meteorologist with National Weather Service Paducah, talk to you about what they're doing up here today as far as their survey, and maybe can give you some preliminary information regarding the tornado.
Thank you, David. First off, we'd like to say from the National Weather Service our condolences to families and friends of those that perished in the event last night and those that are suffering from it. As David mentioned, our charge is to come and do the survey to determine exactly the intensity of the event. By looking at the damage, we started here in Brookport. That's the only place we have been to this point. We have found most of the damage is in the EF2 range, EF1 range. However, we have found some peak damage at the low end EF3. So thus far, EF3, 140 mile an hour peak winds for the event. The damage track is averaging about 250 yards in width. We've done several cross sections of the damage to determine that. But again, what we finalize the survey on is going to be based on the entire damage track across southern Illinois, which may extend into Kentucky on either side, back into McCracken, Ballard, or over into Livingston County. So we have to look at the entire track before we'll make a final determination on the final intensity rating of it. And that's what we'll be doing this morning. Illinois, this afternoon we hope to get in Kentucky and start surveying there as well. Any questions?
Any estimates on when you'll actually have those surveys completed?
We had 3 teams out today. We've got 3 of us, Beverly Ford, meteorologist in charge, Jim Packett, our lead forecaster, myself, doing this. We have 2 other teams. Even with that, it's a pretty time-consuming process to do it accurately. I would estimate that, we'll be done with Southern Illinois, just particular track in Southern Illinois, midday, early afternoon, and into Kentucky this afternoon. So I would expect, it all depends on where there's a break in the track. If it's a 2-mile or longer break, and that starts a new tornado track. So if we get into a break, in Polk County, for example, we may have some information, the final rating on this later today, but if not, it could be at least tomorrow before we have that.
And at this point, do you know how many tracks you've found so far?
Well, we know based on the reports that we got yesterday that we have at least 3 major cracks. There was 1 supercell storm that produced this tornado and numerous other touchdowns, possibly starting in southeast Missouri all the way over to around Greenville, Kentucky. There's a crack further to the north of Cape Girardeau, Missouri, over to near Henderson, Kentucky. That is generally 1 supercell track, and then another track that's up along and north of Interstate 64 in Southern Illinois that extends into Indiana. So those are the 3 main tracks we're working. There are some other kind of sub-tracks adjacent to that, particularly across the Pennyroyal region of western Kentucky that we'll be looking at as well.
Is there any threat of further storms?
No. The good news is the weather looks very calm the next several days. A lot of sunshine, a little bit of wind. Today we may get gusts up to 15 to 20, which could be a bit of concern with any loose debris, any tin. We saw several pieces of tin up in treetops, which, a 15, 20 mile an hour gust can bring some of those down. So that's a concern. A little bit more wind towards the middle of the week. So that's really the only weather concern other than the
Was this damage done by 1 tornado or more than 1?
The damage that we looked at thus far, just 1 tornado. In Brookport, yeah. That's the only place we have been in particular survey.
Thanks, Rick. An additional follow-up, whenever you get a storm like this, you always have power out, and that's why we're lucky to have Tina Hale with Ameren here. She can speak to what Ameren's operations have been in the last 24 hours. Here, so we'll turn it over to Tina.
Hello, my name's Tina Hale, and I do community relations for Ameren, Illinois. We brought in approximately 55 line crew personnel last night, and they did work through the night and are continuing to work, keeping safety top priority for both our customers as well as our co-workers. When it's all said and done, we'll be replacing approximately 40 poles in Brookport. We have about half the town energized already. That happened about 9:30 this morning. And the other half of the town is expected to be restored by noon today. We do have an issue at the lock and dam. We've been waiting on a skidder, a special piece of equipment that we need to set 2 poles out there. So we've pushed the lock and dam restoration time to about 1:30 this afternoon. A lot of the issues that will remain after we're done with our side of the restoration is the individual customers' restoration, and that is repairing weatherheads on their own individual houses and other repairs that need to be made before that we can restore service at those individual homes. Do anyone have any questions for me?
What kind of danger of down power lines and things like that still posing to people in the town?
No, we will not restore power unless there's no danger of down power lines.
But are there down power lines? Are there several areas like that?
Those will be cut. The down lines that you'll see will be cut. Okay, thank you.
And with what Tina talked about with the electrical, I'm also going to have Dion Scott, Liberty Utilities, come up. He can speak about what the gas utility's been dealing with, because again, that's also peripheral because it's obviously happened in
Thank you. Liberty Utilities, our main focus is with safety, so I'm proud to announce that all of our leaks due to damage through service lines have been repaired. We're in the process, or if it's stopped, we're in the process of abandoning those service lines. Gas was not, contrary to what was said, gas was not interrupted. Gas is still on. We have 25 affected houses, and I think we're in the process of abandoning all of them. So We thank the community, state, and local police and all their efforts to help us in this crisis. Thank you.
Okay, I'm just going to cover a couple of things that are following up on the emergency management side about where we see this in the recovery mode and everything else specifically. As Trooper Watson talked about, we're asking right now the volunteers sort of hold off due to the fact that we're in the process of recovery, which right now is going to include doing damage assessment. Right now we have the Illinois Emergency Services Management Association Emergency Management Assistance teams coming in. They should be here within the next couple hours. What they're going to be doing is damage assessment, which will actually be on scene, conducting assessment of the buildings and things like that. Once that team has made that determination as far as the levels of damage and things like that, then we'll be coordinating on a debris removal plan, which then will integrate with a volunteer management plan for those people who want to help with the cleanup. That's one of the reasons that we're trying to phase this in, because we just can't put people in helping when we're dealing with having to get these damage assessed, because we can't also remove debris until we know what our plan is going to be. So all this has to work hand in hand. That's why we've had to put people off right now. We do appreciate the efforts that everybody has. That's why we're going to be putting that information out a little bit later, when and how people can help us in the volunteer capacity. The other issue that's been brought up is any type of donated goods that people might be able to bring or provide to the people who have been affected. One thing that we would be asking is that if you want to make a donation of items, that you donate basic cleaning supplies. This is going to help people once they get back in their homes to get cleaned up, because there is going to be an ongoing cleaning process, obviously. And those basic cleaning supplies can be taken to the First Baptist Church in Metropolis. Their phone number is 618-524-8681, and their address is 307 Monroe Creek Road in Metropolis. They are going to be in a position to take those. We've talked with them. We've secured that information with them, and they're going to coordinate with us on getting that out to the affected people. So that's where those can be given. The church is asking that if you have any type of other donated goods, that you do a 24-hour hold on that. They've been inundated with other types of goods like blankets and things like that, and they are asking that a 24-hour hold on those type of donated goods happen. So that's where we stand with that. The other thing that we've got, this was prepared last night. This is going to be distributed. If anybody in the media wants a copy of this and want to put this out, this is fine. This is basically an information sheet that we're going to get out to affected people at the shelters, also hand this out to the public safety to these people. It basically gives information about how you can get your assistance that you need, as well as donated goods, debris management issues, and basic safety issues. So we will have this going out. If you want copies of that, please let me know, like that. As I mentioned before, or maybe I forgot, is we will do another press conference here at 3 o'clock today. Hopefully we have additional information for you at that time. And for the media, if you're interested in doing an on-site trip down there to get some footage of that, after the press conference is over, please coordinate with Trooper Watson and myself, and we'll make that arrangement. We do have a plan set in place to do that if you want to go do that. So I'll go ahead and open it up if there's any additional questions anybody has.
Trooper Watson confirmed 3 fatalities here. Holder confirmed 2. Can you clarify?
There's a total of 3, and I think what the issue is, there was 2 in the county, 1 on the, I believe, east side of Brookport. So that was the difference. There was 2 out in that community that the sheriff talked about specifically, than there was 1 in Brookport. One of those issues is going to be when we do the damage assessment, looking at the number of homes and then correlating that to how we have people in the shelters and things like that. To give you the exact number, I couldn't give you the exact number right now outside of the building.
Does anyone have information about how many people have been injured?
There were some preliminary numbers that were talked about, and I think there was one discussion was 13, but again, that's not a specific set number, and that could also be as low as somebody with a basic cut all the way to something that's requiring hospital treatment. So I could try getting that additional information for you guys.
And when will the Brookport Bridge open back up?
Right now, the Brookport Bridge is still closed. Kentucky Transportation Cabinet is on the bridge at this time doing an inspection due to damage from the storm. So we made the decision early this morning to shut it down completely. Paducah PD is assisting us on the Kentucky side by keeping it shut down. Once that inspection is completed and we get the release from our utility companies and the EBAT team, then I'm going to change some of the procedures so we can open that bridge back up and ease the access for the people of Brookport.
And what's the danger on the bridge right now? Why is it closed?
Some of the rail, the guardrail, some of the bumper rail on that bridge were loosened by the storm and actually closed one lane of the bridge going into Kentucky. waiting for KDOT or Transportation Cabinet to get done, and then we'll make an assessment from there when I want to open the highway up.
Thanks, sir. Any other questions?
I know you mentioned 45 to 50 homes destroyed. Do we know, city versus county, where those are at?
That breakdown, we'll have those official numbers later once the teams come in and do the official assessment, because some of that stuff, again, is very meticulous. What you're doing is assessing the capability of the home, can it be lived in, destroyed. So there's all those things that have to be correlated and documented. We also in turn will turn to the state so they've got that information.
And do we know how many people remain hospitalized now because of this storm?
I don't have that information, but I can track it down for you.
Do you have an idea of when everybody was actually accounted for?
He's getting all the questions, so there wasn't no on the accountability of the people that were missing.
By probably approximately 2 a.m. this morning, any reports of missing persons unaccounted for had been cleared off our reports by either locating them in shelters or in the homes of other relatives or other neighbors that took them in. Since probably 2 a.m. this morning, I have no new reports on anything like that.
Do the 3 triage centers still remain open, or are they going to be closing?
We still have the main triage at the elementary. They're still there. It is still staffed and supplied. Since about midnight last night, we haven't had to use it. So we're kind of downsizing, but we're waiting till we get final assessments done to make sure.
Do we know how many people are in shelters? I mean, that have taken to the shelters rather than?
I know the number this morning that I got from the Red Cross is that they had 3 people in the shelter that were staying overnight. Sometimes it's hard to get those numbers because the issue is a lot of people tend to go to family members. They may go to somewhere else. We have that happen a lot. But I know the number I was given this morning, they had 3 people in the shelter at Metropolis this morning. Now that can obviously fluctuate if something goes on. That was the number I had about 6:30 this morning.
Mr. Survey, are there any concerns that you face with the cleanup from here on out?
Well, when we have workers here doing damage assessment, whether it's the police, fire, emergency management, whatever, worker safety is paramount. So one issue that's going to be done as we go through the damage assessment part of the process, we'll have a safety officer to make sure are we doing safe practices for damage assessors. And once we start the debris management, coordinating that with volunteer people who want to come in and help, because again, we don't need people getting hurt that don't need to be getting hurt.
Any idea of just when we'll get that dollar amount on how much damage it's actually caused?
When you're doing your damage assessment, a lot of issues, you work hand in hand with insurance companies, because obviously insurance is going to have a very big deal in this, a big hand in that. We'll work with them. A lot of information we compile, because again, one thing that we'll be looking at is there going to be enough damage, possibly even to look at a federal declaration. I'm not saying that's what's going to happen, but because of the state being affected like it was yesterday, we always could have those peripheral issues. So we want to get the best information we can. That's why it takes a little bit of time to make sure we confirm what type of structure is it, what was the type of damage and things like that. So it does take a little bit of time, but once we can get that coordinated, we want to get that out there really.
Okay, our insurance company is on site today.
I don't know if we've had any first day. I know they have been in contact.
Been checked in by our security company.
But they have been in contact with the individual homeowners, I know that. So, and that'll be something we'll coordinate to allow them in to do that.
I know scrapping was a concern with the Harrisburg tornado. Are there any measures you guys are taking to prevent that here?
That'll work with the debris management plan, also security for any type of contracting that's going to come in. The city will take care of coordinating that, making sure that somebody's legit that's going to come in and help somebody. So all that's being addressed.
Have you been facing that?
I don't think we've had anybody
Not as of yet. We're basically mirroring what we're doing from our experience in Harrisburg. The cleanup crews, the people that want to come in and help, will be directed to City Hall to be registered, just like we did during the Harrisburg February 29th episode.
Will the curfew still be in effect this evening?
It is for this evening.
Yep.
Until I get everything opened by the utilities and by EMAT, we're going to continue till 6 tomorrow morning.
6 P to 6 A?
Yes, sir.
Any other questions? And I talked about the federal response. Congressman Shimkus, here, John Shimkus, I asked him to come make a brief statement.
Well, I wasn't going to say anything because these are the folks who are doing all the work. It's always bittersweet to come down in disaster time. We still have a loving God who works through these individuals back here. So I'm here to show presence with the mayor, with the community. I had 3 other communities that were hit, one in Champaign County, one in New Minden, Illinois. So it's a long day for a lot of us. We appreciate you covering this. We really appreciate the first line responders and the community. What you find out is local, small town, rural America, they help their neighbors, and that's what we're seeing today. So with that, I just appreciate the opportunity to talk.
Thanks, sir. Again, just as a follow-up, 3 o'clock will be our next press conference here. We'll also hopefully set out the schedule for tomorrow so everybody's aware of it. And once we conclude, if you guys want to go do the tour, get with myself or Trooper Watson, and we'll coordinate that. Any other questions? Okay, thanks, guys.